Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gut Wrench Podcast. At this time, I cannot pull up the episode number, what episode it is that we are on. However, I can take a rough guess here and say episode 88. Because the last time that I remember us having a actual episode was episode 86. Hang on, 87. My fault. Apparently I can't count. But that's going to be ironic here in just a moment. Now, you may notice that the audio quality has somehow either gotten better or gotten worse. So, something that has happened is I've decided to take up mobile podcasting. For those of you who don't understand what it is that I'm droning on about, I am now have my phone in my hand, and you remember the whole, oh man, I really wish I could get away from all these crackheads who are coming into my house at 3 a.m. That whole debacle. That shan't not be a problem anymore because now I'm no longer in my house. So these episodes from hence on forward will now be recorded from my mobile phone. Now, I'd had reservations about doing this before, and the reason, of course, being is because I didn't think that the microphone would actually give me sufficient enough. Imagine trying to record something on your iPhone microphone, it's like trying to record something on a potato. It's not necessarily going to work. If you catch my drift of what it is that I'm trying to convey. However, I never thought in a million years that buying myself an actual microphone to go into my iPhone, or for that matter a headphones that come with a microphone, like most people talk on the phone nowadays. I never thought that that was actually an option. For whatever reason, never sat down and thought about it, I guess you could say. So, from henceforward, we will be taking a new approach to the podcasting world, I guess you could say. Look at me, everybody. I'm evolving. I'm evolving into something beautiful. I was a caterpillar. Now I'm a beautiful, beautiful butterfly. But anyway, it also gives me the option to add background music, but I really don't know how I would feel about that. I almost stepped into like a really big pothole. And also, you guys and ladies, 17% of my audience, 17% of my fucking audience is female. And 6% of you are European or German. That is the most beautiful thing. That I wonder if that crosses over. Like, if 17% of my audience is female, 6% of them are Eastern European or German, like, let's say, or even Russian or anything like that. Is it trying to tell me that I have German females listening, or is it trying to tell me that I have females listening and some of them may or may not be German? Like, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm just going to throw that out there. Anyway, I'm droning on about nothing. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mocha, if I didn't already say that, and I'm pretty sure that I didn't. But I could be wrong. So let me reintroduce myself. This is the Gut Wrench Podcast. And we're going to get straight into the action. Give me 1 second. I hope that this doesn't stop my recording as I look at my notes on my phone. And what do you know, it did not stop my recording. There is a little microphone in the there's a small area where it shows me that it is still recording. And there's a dog barking. How wonderful. Hopefully you guys don't pick up the sounds of nature, you know. This is not NPR radio or anything like that. This is the Gut Wrench Podcast, episode number 88. Hopefully it gets better as the episodes go on. We are fastly approaching the anniversary show, and we are fastly approaching the 100th episode. I wonder which one that will hit first, you know. That's something that I'm wondering is, come October, will we hit the anniversary show at the same time that we also hit the 100th episode? How cool would it be if the 100th episode was the anniversary, the second year anniversary of the Gut Wrench Podcast? I'm trying to talk over this dog before I begin the show so that there's like no interference from said puppy dog. But said puppy dog might be mad that I'm like on his block. He's trying to spin my block. But anyway, here is the first match of, well, I guess I didn't write down the date. It was the week after, I do believe they said the week after Double or Nothing. Or, hang on, the week before, rather, the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. My fault. It was the week before the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. We are looking at AEW Rampage. As this car comes to interrupt what it was that I was about to say. Oh, don't you just love it whenever crackheads interrupt you while you're trying to talk? Isn't that just wonderful? As Chaos versus United Empire. United Empire is made up of Jeff Cobb, Will Ospreay, and Kyle Fletcher. Chaos is made up of Trent Beretta, Chuck Taylor, and Rocky Romero. See, this is the part where it becomes confusing, because Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor, along with Orange Cassidy, is already collectively known as the best friends, and any combination of like Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy or Cassidy and Beretta is already known as just friends, if I remember correctly. Or it could be backwards or upside down, because it's been like forever since I was educated about the last time that I knew what the name of the stable was. But it's so confusing that Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor, Chucky T as he calls himself, are in 3 different groups. If you replace one with the other, or if you replace one with someone else, apparently he becomes a whole nother team. Or if you add someone, apparently that's just the other team. I said about the same thing a few weeks ago before we took the strike, whenever they kept referring to the Usos as the Bloodline. No, it's not the Bloodline. They're still the Usos. They're the Bloodline collectively whenever Roman Reigns shows up. I don't know. It's a whole big debacle. And for that matter, it's a lot to explain. I put down like a paragraph of notes here trying to explain it further. But now that I realize how I sound trying to explain it, it's just a whole lot of red tape and doesn't really have any sort of value, you know, as far as the match itself goes. Trent Beretta and Kyle Fletcher start the match. As soon as Rampage starts, the bell rings. Now, this is my first time seeing Will Ospreay, and honestly, I was really underwhelmed because it was one of those things where people would tell me, just like Kevin Owens, just like Sami Zayn, hey, you need to watch this guy, he's really good. The only time that I'd ever seen Will Ospreay before this was in highlights, in multiple highlights that I'd seen, wherever they would only show like the highlights of the match or whatever. And you know, I was like, yes, Will Ospreay, of course, he's really good. I'll just take the internet's word for it. And here, he was really underwhelming. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was like, this can't be as good as this man is. You know, like, I didn't see something that I'm used to seeing from him. It was kind of underwhelming for a first performance. But I'll go ahead and I'll suspend my disbelief. I'll give him another shot or another 2 shots. Because I did the same thing for Zayn. I did the same thing for Kevin Owens. I gave them, because a buddy of mine, so I hate to go into this story again, really I do, but just to refresh your memory, a buddy of mine kept asking me, hey, did you check out the Kevin Owens match? Hey, did you look at the Kevin Owens match? Hey, did you see it? Did you see how good that it was? And it was one of those NXT takeovers. And I remember flipping out on him in the lunch table that day because all day it'd been nothing but, hey, did you see that Kevin Owens match? Hey, did you see it? Did you watch it? Like, he's just so overtly concerned with my opinion. And here's the thing, our relationship was just that. Always had to be my opinion. It was like I would never look at him and then say, hey man, how do you feel about, you know, so-and-so? I would never do that. He would just tell me. He would just tell me, and then I'd be like, yeah, I guess I agree. I guess I disagree, you know, because we're kids, we're in middle school, whatever else. And, you know, that was our relationship in a nutshell. But to me, I remember that day at the lunch table, and then I was like, why do you just keep asking me about Kevin Owens? I was like, God damn, the guy fucking sucks. He's garbage. He's trash. Besito, which is trash in Spanish, if you don't know. But anyway, I was like, he's worse than fucking Dusty Rhodes. He's dog shit. I just kept saying a whole bunch of insults, and at the time I was kind of mad because he's like, why are you getting so mad about it? And I'm like, what do you mean, why am I getting so mad about it? All day with you, man. It's been nothing but, hey, did you see the Kevin Owens match? Hey, did you watch it? Yeah, I watched it, and I honestly want to bleach my fucking eyes. So for me, Kevin Owens was really underwhelming, as you would imagine. So seeing that and hearing my opinion on the matter, I'm guessing got him riled up, because we didn't talk after that for like 4 days. Until like a day after that at the lunch table. And he was like, hey man, you want these tater tots? And I was like, yeah, sure. Would you poison them, you know? Like, did you spit on them? Is this some sort of vindictive shit, you know? And then he was like, nah, I'm sorry, you know? So, that's how that went. But anyway, this was kind of like that. This was kind of like that performance where I thought I was going to get something good, you know, but in reality it was not that it didn't live up to the hype. My first time seeing Will Ospreay, and the man has been in professional wrestling for quite some time, from what I've been told, that he is a 5-star athlete. And I've been told so many good things about him, and here I am on this broadcast that I've been reviewing for tonight. I paused the broadcast so that I could take these notes, and honestly, I was feeling like, yes, exactly. This is what's going to happen. It is 2:55 a.m. outside of the highlight packages. I've never seen Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher tags in Will Ospreay against Rocky Romero. Rocky Romero hits a double high five on the outside from his tag team partners, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta. So whenever he goes outside, he hits like a dive, and then after the dive, he hits Beretta and Chucky T get up, and they're like, "Hey, give me a high five." And he's like, "Yeah." And of course, Beretta and Chuck Taylor are much taller than Rocky Romero, so they made him like high five the sky to high five him, to high five them rather, because it was like a three-way high five. I don't know, it was weird. Ospreay with a beautiful standing headstand Pele kick to Chuck Taylor. Jeff Cobb gets in the ring with a beautiful standing stalling suplex to Chuck Taylor when Taylor tags in. Taylor doesn't tag in Fletcher. Jeff Cobb tags in Fletcher. Trent Beretta and Kyle Fletcher both get the hot tag and finish, start firing shots at each other. Trent Beretta hits Kyle Fletcher with a myriad of moves, and the moves are in a list like this. Two German suplexes, one back suplex, then a corner splash, a splash in the corner. Fletcher gets some momentum of his own, getting Trent Beretta into a brain buster. After holding him in a guillotine, he goes for that corner splash like I said, and Fletcher just picks up Beretta. Fletcher just hits Beretta with a German suplex, a back suplex, then a corner splash. Then Fletcher gets some momentum of his own, getting Trent Beretta in a brain buster after holding him in a guillotine, almost like he was trying to choke the fucking life out of him. And then after that, he just straight drops him on his head from that brain buster that I mentioned earlier, which is a nasty move. You never want to get caught in a brain buster. There are three men in the ring, so this is a common occurrence here tonight. For whatever reason, the referee doesn't know how to count, or refuses to count, despite the fact that, and I put a lengthy explanation here, perhaps I can water it down a little bit, but whenever there's more than one person in the ring at a time who's represented by that certain team, in this case, there's there's two teams represented by three individuals apiece. So at times, two of those individuals would be in the ring at the same time, despite the fact that there's only supposed to be one in the ring at a time. I seen a deer. I thought it'd be funny to like spook it, but I don't want to get like tackled or, raped by a deer. Anyway, what? Who said that? Anyway, the referee refuses to count like he's supposed to, like the 10 or whatever, and it's really making me mad. He doesn't even warn them or admonish them. He doesn't like look at them and then say, "Hey, one of you's got to go outside. Who's the legal man?" Because I couldn't even keep up with myself. He doesn't disqualify them. Despite this actually being like a civil contest, like they didn't advertise, hey, no disqualifications, guys. You know, be sure to use those chairs and shit. As regards to Vice, yeah, so in the past they've also referred to themselves as Vice Roppongi or the Best Friends, and I'm pretty sure that I just went over that earlier. The fact that if Orange Cassidy was here, they would be calling themselves the Friends or the Best Friends, with Cassidy and any combination of like Chucky T and or Trent Beretta. So I don't know why there's so many combinations that you could put together and form a team that would have a name. Like Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta probably make the Best Friends, and if you put Taylor and Rocky Romero, they apparently make Vice Roppongi Vice or whatever. It's so stupid. Like, why do you need so many team names for a variation of the same team? So I put down a very lengthy explanation about that because they kept changing the name of the team, and I've been watching them for maybe a year and a half or so. Ospreay tries to powerbomb or standing samurai driver, but Rocky Romero counters and gets on his feet and hits a flash clothesline, knocking Will Ospreay inside out, basically like turning his insides out and then back in again. He makes him do a flip. Fletcher hits a tombstone power driver on Rocky Romero, and after that they hit him with the whatever he calls, whatever Will Ospreay calls it, the hidden blade or whatever, for the 3 count, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Like I said, it was, I didn't feel comfortable giving this like 2.5 out of 5 because it did have some really good spots to it. It was quite entertaining. Just some confusion, and also the referee is blind. He can't read or count. Apparently, I want to say count, but in order to count, you have to be able to read. You know, like I feel as though that someone who doesn't have a disposition to read wouldn't have the same ability to count, because they can't read numbers, let alone, you know, anything above a number. Anyway, I give it 3 out of 5 stars. United Empire wins off the hidden blade. Yeah, that's what he calls it. Then the pin. Excalibur says, now a word from our sponsor, DraftKings, so that you can learn how you can win your fair share of $25,000. All you have to do is answer a few simple questions about the main event of the next pay-per-view, which is Forbidden Door. Already happened. And doing so, you could get your majority of said questions correct, then you could win your fair share of $25,000. But even though he says that would be an advertisement playing, it goes on a screen graphic where it has the AEW logo, word Rampage underneath it. Then the name of the show, which is Rampage, AEW, All Elite Wrestling. And then it's really funny, but that stays on for like 15 minutes, maybe 10 good minutes. I'm guessing that they just played a series of commercials, but I kept hearing the same looping song. This is Rampage. I got my bones made of stone. About to go. Got the adrenaline in my soul. And then I'm like, okay, this is Rampage, baby. Come on. All right. Then they come back from commercial and show us highlights from what happened on the said date that I'm about to mention, May 28th, 2023. An episode of AEW pay-per-view that we recently looked at by the name of Double or Nothing. Taya Valkyrie lost that match to Jade Cargill. Then Chris Statlander made her AEW return from her hurt leg, or for that matter, it was broke, but I would highly doubt that it's broke, or that it was broke, rather. Jade Cargill, then Chris Statlander made her return. She had, from the broke leg that she had on AEW pay-per-view that we recently looked at. In doing so, Kristen Statlander became the new TBS champion. Taya Valkyrie, since, according to Excalibur, has taken a vested interest in Chris Statlander, because Valkyrie claims that had it not been for her, that Jade Cargill wouldn't have been easy pickings. You know, because that match was nothing more than a 5-minute squash match where Smart Mark Sterling got into the ring, and then he grabs the microphone and then he says, "No one can defeat this woman. No one." Of course, he's referring to Jade Cargill. And in doing so, he refers to Jade Cargill as the woman of wrestling. Because, of course, she's 60-0. At that time, after beating Taya Valkyrie, she was 61-0, I do believe. But anyway, after becoming 61-0, Chris Statlander comes out, and after Smart Mark Sterling, what a name, he calls himself Smart Mark Sterling, but you want to know what's not smart? After having a match, holding an open challenge for the championship, and then after you lose said open challenge for said championship, you then proceed to bitch and moan and then say something along the lines of, who signed this off? You know, who? It was you, you dumbass. You got on the microphone and you said that you was willing to put up a open challenge. I don't know. It's completely. It's me trying to convey that with this mountain of text that I have here in front of me, without actually reading said mountain of text. Taya Valkyrie will face off against someone who's making her AEW debut, Trish Adora. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times, and I'll continue to say it. If we all know who's going to win here, and the fact that they couldn't will you. Yeah, they just couldn't make Taya Valkyrie have like a match against someone who's already cut their teeth in AEW. Instead, they're like, hey, let's just go to the local jobbers list. Who do we got over here at the local jobbers list? And they took said local jobbers and decided to hire one of them in order to make their debut here in AEW for this particular night at this particular time, so that they could go ahead and decide to take said jobber and put them up against Taya Valkyrie, so that, like, it doesn't make sense. Why not look at your women's roster and then say, hey, why don't we have Taya Valkyrie go up against, like, Athena? And, you know, per se, if it were me booking, I would do something of that nature. And whenever Taya Valkyrie beats Athena, it makes her look like more of a threat to Kristen Statlander, rather than beating some nobody and then claiming that she wants a shot at the title. That's not how that works. You know, you don't beat a local jobber and then say, okay, now I want the entire championship division to be on notice. No, it doesn't shoot you to the top of the list, or at least it shouldn't. Jim Ross on commentary states that he's really impressed by the background of this young lady, this Trish Adora. And I'm unfamiliar with her background, so please enlighten me, JR. what should I know about her? Taya Valkyrie with a beautiful baseball slide German suplex. I know it sounds confusing, but it really looks good. How they combine these two wrestling moves is really quite inconceivable. Quite the innovation from Taya Valkyrie. And here on my notes it calls her Tyler Valkyrie. Yes, Tyler Valkyrie. The surfboard stretch into the face stomp, and Taya Valkyrie gets the win off the pin. I'm not really sure what to say. There wasn't really much in terms of highlights. This match, there were at least 2 times where Trish Adora put up a halfway decent fight, but it's 2 out of 5 stars for me. An impromptu interview by the Hardy Boys, of all people, where apparently the Guns called out Matt and Jeff Hardy, and to be honest, it's surprising to me that Jeff Hardy still has a job somewhere in wrestling because of all of the chances that he's had and all of the times that he's blown his shot. Now, if I was smart here, and if I was one of their bookers, I would assume that, seeing as though the Hardys are, old men who've practically been in the wrestling world 3 decades, as Matt Hardy puts it, I would assume that the Guns, who will be facing them next week, will go over on them. Will end up taking home the victory, and for that matter have a lot of bragging rights, but it'll still be a good, decent contest, a good, decent fight. Now, I don't know that to be true. I don't know what AEW has in store, but it was the Guns, apparently, who challenged the Hardy Boys. And whenever I say the Guns, for those of you who are Impact Wrestling fans, I'm not talking about the Motor City Machine Guns. Holy crap. I need a drink of water. But that will be on Dynamite this coming Wednesday. We are watching Rampage right now. Introducing the team for our next match, Karen Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Jeff Jarrett versus their opponents, Papa Briscoe, Aubrey Edwards, and Mark Briscoe. And I just want to point this out right now. I've tried to ignore it for too long, but I'm just going to come out and say it. Briscoe. So, those of you who don't know, I'm not about to make the obvious, I wonder if they're related to Gerald Briscoe. No. Whenever I was young, yeah, I know, sad story time. Whenever I was young, my grandpa took me to Hardee's one time, and I'm pretty sure that he ordered a Briscoe sandwich, but I could be wrong. Maybe I heard something wrong, or for that matter, maybe it's a false memory. Why would your last name be that of a Hardee's sandwich? Or unless it's called the Frisco, and I'm just remembering a mispronunciation. It's hard for me to really put my finger on what it's called, but I do know that Hardee's has a Frisco sandwich, and I do know that I'm getting off topic, and that's not the point that I'm really trying to make. But your last name is basically a breakfast sandwich from Hardee's. Get your priorities together. Mark Briscoe taking control of this match, throwing a hip tosses at Jeff Jarrett, and he gets his ass kicked so bad that he tags in his wife, Karen Jarrett. And the rules of this match are as follows. Karen Jarrett gets a tag, then the representation of the male wrestler has to leave the ring at this time and must tag in the female wrestler representing the opposing team. So that is how this team match will go, because it is not intergender. This is not like, Jericho facing China like they used to do. This match apparently started because of Double gold, nothing, pay-per-view. Okay, well, I meant to say double or nothing pay-per-view. Hang on, let this guy with this small dick keep going. Yes, if you bump rap music as you're driving by a facility such as a church, which I am in front of right now, you have a small wiener. You are trying to compensate for something that you do not have. Don't worry, I'll get back to the match here in just a moment, but this is a grievance that I've wanted to air for quite some time. If you drive a motorcycle and you have a bald spot, and for that matter, you're gray practically all over, and you drive motorcycle anywhere, if you feel it is appropriate to rev your engine while driving said motorcycle, or you refuse to get your engine checked whenever it is undoubtedly really fucking loud and doesn't sound like a weed whacker, you need to get yourself checked for a small wiener, because you could have a small wiener syndrome. Anyway, let's get straight back into the match. Don't worry, these are all grievances that I've tried to air on multiple occasions. But then Karen Jarrett quickly tags out, much to the crowd's dismay, because they are livid about it. I mean, they're booing. They're like, oh, come on, you fucking coward. What are you doing? You know, you're pussy. Starts to boo really loudly, does the crowd. Papa Briscoe chants as the old man gets in the ring to Excalibur and Tony Schiavone, who tell us that Papa Briscoe has had 3 prior matches in Ring of Honor. And according to Jericho, he should have stayed in Ring of Honor. Papa Briscoe gets the pin, and Jericho is livid because apparently Papa Briscoe doesn't know to hook the leg. He said, here's the number one rule, that's the number one rule that Gorilla Monsoon told us. Now, I've read most of Chris Jericho's book, and I don't remember him ever mentioning training with Gorilla Monsoon. What he did mention was that, if I remember correctly, he was giving someone money to train him, and he never seen that person again. That's literally a passage from his book, his first book, A Lion's Tale Around the World in Spandex. Do you get it? It's because he's known as the Lionheart in most of Japan and Mexico. In hindsight, that sounds really strange if you're giving someone money and you hope that they train you to be a professional athlete or a great professional wrestler, and just to say that you, quote, never see them again in your life is a little weird. But it worked out in his case because he's obviously a well-known performer and a well-known rock star. Karen Jarrett gets the tag once again, and per the match rules we now have talked about before, Aubrey Edwards is the legal person in this match. There's not supposed to be any intergender competition, but Karen Jarrett breaks the back. I didn't mean to put that. Almost like they're having sex, breaks the back. Jarrett breaks the back of Mark Briscoe. A lot of slow action right now. Just some tagging back and forth, and the match has really been taking at a snail's pace. The crowd seems to be enjoying themselves. Lots of them are making a lot of noise. But there's no rush to get anything done, and no spots that are really like fascinating, like, oh my God, he's starting to build momentum with a clothesline, but the duck under and the super kick, the hook of the leg, 1, 2, kick out. There's no way. In comes The Rock. In comes Stone Cold. It's mayhem out here. There's no like rush to get anything done. And Mark Briscoe hitting it handed to him. Oh, getting it. Okay, sure. Getting it handed to him. I don't know why it says hitting it handed to him. Shut up. Papa Briscoe gets the tag. Both Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal are in the ring, and I don't know who the legal man is as far as the tag team contest goes. The ref is supposed to be counting, like he's supposed to count whenever there's 2 or more individuals. Like I was telling you about before, it seems to be a common occurrence here. He's supposed to start counting so that the other person knows, not to do anything or to get out of the ring, so that the other person who's representing the team, it's hard to explain. I've got a wall of text here, but I'm not going to read it because I give examples and everything, but I really don't think that it's worth mentioning as far as examples go. If you're a wrestling fan, then you know what I'm talking about. But if you're not, then you should probably pick up a book once in a while and maybe read a fantasy wrestling match or something. Jay Lethal is in the ring even though he's not the legal man because Papa Briscoe made a tag to Aubrey Edwards. The referee is not counting like he's supposed to. Yeah, so if Papa Briscoe made the tag to Aubrey Edwards, then obviously the legal man on the other side, on the opposite end of the team, has to be Karen Jarrett, because there is no intergender competition, as I've stated before. But there's more than one person represented by one team in the ring at the same time, despite the fact that there's not supposed to be. The referee refuses to count. That's my point, though. This match is dragging on way too far too long. It's taking more liberties than what it already should. Aubrey Edwards, you hear people like that. If you can hear this man on his motorcycle right now, like, nobody asked for him to come by here. Nobody asked for him to do that. He just decided it was a good idea to mosey on out of here just because he's probably some 60-year-old man who has no dick, no neck. For that matter, he's trying to show the ladies around here, hey, might not have a dick, but I sure got this motorcycle. Don't got a lot of money, though, because it all goes into this motorcycle. This match is dragging on for far too long, taking liberties that it shouldn't. Aubrey Edwards with the guitar in her hand, and she's thinking about getting revenge on Karen Jarrett and Jarrett, but referee Paul Turner tells her that if she doesn't get the so-called revenge, then he's going to have to disqualify her. Karen Jarrett, with the guitar, she will be disqualified from her team. So if you smack her with a guitar, Aubrey Edwards, you will be disqualified. And how ironic is it, Jericho points this out, that a referee is about to break the rules? because there's a referee willing to disqualify Aubrey Edwards, but he's not willing to count. So that, to me, is sort of unfair advantage, and for that matter, biased officiating. That's what I pointed out. Jericho didn't have to point that out because I noticed that the referee wasn't counting whenever more than one person representing one or more teams is in the match. Aubrey Edwards gets the submission victory for her team. She puts Karen Jarrett in the figure 4, and not even 3 seconds before or after she puts her in the figure 4, she finally fucking taps out. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. Yes, the match was entertaining, but it dragged on for far too long. It took more liberties than what it should have. And also we got I want to say a ref bump, but that's not right. The referee got distracted so that the other referee, who's not the referee for tonight, but rather was the referee for the Double or Nothing pay-per-view that I just mentioned, where Karen Jarrett hit Aubrey Edwards upside the head. Aubrey Edwards ended up getting revenge here tonight with her and her team. Mark Briscoe and Papa Briscoe ended up winning the match, despite Aubrey Edwards breaking all the rules. Anyway, now that we're out of that kerfunkel, and now that I've overly explained it, 2.5 out of 5 stars, Jericho points out, how ironic is it to see a referee breaking the rules of a potential wrestling contest, but to be honest, this entire match had broken the rules littered all over it. I've already pointed out, maybe the referee just doesn't know how to count whenever there's more than one person representing more than one team. Like, unless it's a tornado tag team style match, which they used to call a Texas Tornado tag team match, which I don't understand the alliteration with all the T's that we have to put in here. But that's fine. You know, you take your T and take it somewhere else. This is not fucking Wheel of Fortune. I'd like to buy a vowel. You're supposed to start counting at the point. Supposed to start counting. My point is there was no Texas Tornado tag team match. We're supposed to conduct these under regular tag team rules. It doesn't bother me. It's just officiating towards, one side or the other. So it's bias officiating. Hey guys, I've got merchandise. Maybe you should go check it out. Because here on my notes, I even put plug the merch. So I'm here to plug the merch. I'm halfway through the show. I hope that you will at least look at the new and improved designs. There will be new designs every week. So maybe you want a coffee cup. Maybe you want a reusable water bottle. Or maybe you just want a dress or a skirt. We're working on making quality products for you, as well as quality assurance. Not like car insurance. Who writes these damn jokes? It's me. I write these damn jokes. Then we go to an impromptu interview with Taya Valkyrie, who seems to be somewhat upset about her participation, the participation of the match that she found herself in against Jade Cargill. And once again, I've already went over this, because she feels as though that she wore Jade Cargill down, and thanks to smart Mark Sterling, even though I really don't think that he's that smart, because he's the one who put up the open challenge, and once Jade Cargill lost to Chris Statlander, he was mad about it. You know, like, who officiated this? Who signed off on this? You dumbass, it was you who signed off on it. Anyway, Ty Valkyrie's pretty mad about it, because she's like, I wore her down for you, you know, and I didn't get anything in return. There's nothing that you can do that can make this up to me, and whatever else. She just talks about, like, it makes her mad that apparently she didn't get a fair shot, even though she did get a fair shot at Jade Cargill. Ty Valkyrie's a crybaby. But Chris Statlander shuts her up by saying that next week Chris Statlander will be putting up a open challenge for anyone who wants to try to take the title from her. And if Taya Valkyrie feels like that she's game, then maybe she should take the challenge. The Chris Statlander challenge, that is. Another impromptu interview as Mark Henry was trying to do his usual spiel of, now it is time for the main event, when he gets interrupted by Don Callis. And Callis tells Henry in 3 different languages that there is a new god in professional wrestling, and his name is Konosuke Takashia. I cannot pronounce his last name. Hakashia, or I'm just going to call him by his first name, which I've been practicing for the past 17 to 20 minutes before I started this broadcast, so that I would remember it whenever I was coming on live, so that I didn't look like a complete and utter jackass, a complete and utter dumbass, or for that matter, people weren't like, oh, it's disrespectful. You can't even pronounce the man's name. See? What do you know about Japanese wrestling? You're a fraud. Hey, everybody, look at him. He's a big fat phony. You ever seen that episode of Family Guy where this guy follows Peter home, and for whatever reason, he ends up saying, hey, everybody, look at him. He's a big fat phony. Well, I didn't want to end up like... Okay, anyway, hang on. Headphones are about to fall out. Gotta fix them. Hopefully I'm not a big fat phony. Konosuke faces off against Bandito in the main event. I swear, usually I'm so used to calling these guys by their last names. Bandito tries to shake the hand of Konosuke, and whenever he does, Konosuke acts as though that he's going in for the handshake, only to like pull out at the last minute. Kind of like I did your girlfriend last night. Ooh wee! I'm roasting you guys, and there's nothing you can do about it. Konosuke acts as though that he's about to honor the handshake, but then fakes it at the last minute. They say on commentary that Konosuke is 6'3", 240 pounds. Wow! That's an athlete right there. And he moves like someone who's a lightweight, you know? Throws Bandito outside and starts beating him up on the outside with what Jim Ross refers to as no man's land. And once again, even though there's no advertising as such, as they never advertised this match all throughout the night as a no disqualification match. The referee refuses to count. For whatever reason, I guess he just can't count to 10. But he's supposed to count. And you can count on my merchandise. Now available at redbubble.com. Or just, go into the thing and send me the money on Cash App. You should definitely go do that. You can't fool me, guys. I'm woke to this. On commentary, Don Callis says that Konosuke will not stop until Kenny Omega meets him in the ring, so that he can show these fans and everyone watching at home what a real true pro wrestling god looks like. Okay, so the last time that I heard pro wrestling god being thrown around, Moose called himself that. But before that, before Moose called himself a pro wrestling god, I remember JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, called himself a wrestling god. And he claimed that he was from New York. He's not from New York. He's not, like I said it at the Survivor Series, at the SummerSlam that we reviewed a few years back, or a few years, holy crap, like weeks and weeks ago back probably. He's not from New York, he's from Texas. Don't let those announcers lie to you. They might say now residing in New York, but he's from Texas. Look it up, look it up, look it up. I'm not wrong, Google's not wrong. Bandito with two beautiful stalling suplexes that he hits on his opponent Kineske in the air before dropping him, but he holds it. He holds that second one for a full 10 seconds. The crowd, they count how long that he has him in the air, and they get to 10, which is 10 in Spanish. I do believe. Him up in the suplex position and then plants him down. Oh my God, I lost my place. For some reason, I accidentally pressed the scroll up button, so give me a second. On commentary, Don Callis calls new pro wrestling god. Bandito with a beautiful stalling suplex for Diaz, holding him up to the suplex position. Bandito at a Hurricane Rana is a human highlight reel on the Hurricane Rana on Kineske on the ring apron to the outside of the ring, and finally on the outside of the ring, both competitors are on the second time tonight. Both competitors are on the outside of the ring, but the referee finally counts. I don't hear him get to 1. I don't hear him get to 2. I don't hear him count to 3, but I hear him very adamantly, almost like he's mocking me, count 4. You know, the number after 3. But anyway, Jim Ross says that when he was a referee, he makes reference to the fact that he was a, quote, former referee. If someone can please find a tape of Jim Ross being a referee, or for that matter, a picture of Jim Ross in a referee t-shirt, send it to me. You know, I don't believe that he was ever a referee. Maybe I'm wrong, because all of my research done on Jim Ross, and as far as I've been alive, I know that Ross has always been like a color commentator. He's not really a play-by-play, but what sets him apart from everyone else is the fact that whenever things get, like, he's known for his oh my God, and his personality, you know, whenever something happens. It's stone cold, stone cold, stone cold. You know, take a breath, old man, goddamn. Yeah, it's stone cold. You can talk to him after the show. You know what I mean? It's calm down, man. Nobody's provoking you right now. Put down the gun. I remember Teddy Long being a referee, but I cannot think that I can recall ever seeing Jim Ross in an official officiating uniform. Someone please find a match where Jim Ross was a referee. AEW chants by a passionate crowd. Kenosuke with a dominant performance throughout the second half of this match, really grounding the luchador rather, Bandito, keeping him on his back. First cover of the match, and it must have been like 4 minutes left in the match. Like, I was looking at the broadcast, only had like 4 minutes left. And they finally go for a pinfall. But first cover of the match, and Kenosuke hits the senton from the second rope and only gets a near fall. He only gets a 2 count. Bandito with a beautiful a beautiful corkscrew moonsault crossbody. I put that in, for some reason the text here is backwards. It says moonsault first, and then it says corkscrew next, but it's supposed to be corkscrew moonsault crossbody. From the top rope, off the Irish whip, with an overhead float over DDT, a moonsault on the outside. Bandito and okay, so he hits him with a Okay, so he hits him with a moonsault, as I was saying before. For some reason it cut out because I'm only allowed to, I guess, record an hour at a time, which is understandable, but I'm pretty sure that I can sew it together in the editing and just put it beside of this as a segment. AEW chants by a passionate crowd, with Konesuke with a dominant performance throughout the second half of this match, really grounding the luchador, keeping him on his back. First cover of the match, after Konosuke hits a senton from the second rope rather, and he only gets a near fall. Bandito with a beautiful corkscrew crossbody moonsault from the top rope, and then off the Irish whip, he hits a float over DDT, a moonsault onto the floor to the outside. Bandito finally, once he hits that moonsault, the referee starts counting, but I don't hear the one or the two. All I hear is the very passionate scream of referee Paul Turner, or it's not Paul Turner, hang on. It's one of the referees, and then they're yelling 3. So I didn't hear the one or the two, I don't think. Bandito paying homage to Eddie Guerrero, doing the old Eddie Guerrero taunt before Eddie would hit the frog splash. Bandito, of course, hits the frog splash, only gets a 2 count, near fall. This is a beautiful contest. A beautiful back and forth counter by both men. These counters include both men dodging, or for that matter, reversing, countering after countering, a standing German suplex into, instead of like getting hit flush with the German suplex, instead of that, both men end up landing on their feet, almost like they got tossed for a backflip instead of, limping for the German suplex. Fans booing at Konesuke winning the match off the blindside elbow to the back of the neck and the jumping knee as they fade to black. And then they're talking about how, like, oh, we'll see you tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, for Collision, which is the debut of their new show, Collision, on TNT. So, I guess I'll see you all next week on the next episode of the Gut Wrench Podcast. Thank you all so much for joining me. My name is Mocha. As always, I'm going to try to sew this part into the edit and then hope that it works, but I don't know if it will. So if this part gets left out, then I guess I'll know why. I should say you'll know why, but you won't know why. Thank you all so much for joining me. My name is Mocha. This is the Gut Wrench Podcast, episode 88, if I remember correctly. And that's a wrap. That's a wrap, and good night, everybody.